Hi guys, so I've said it in the past, but I want to reinforce this idea once again. There are two types of Brexit supporters. There are people who voted for Brexit but didn't know what they were voting for, believed the lies of Boris Johnson, Jacob Rees-Mogg and Nigel Farage, and were convinced by something, convinced by a lie. Many of them have come to the conclusion after that they were lied to, that it was a mistake, that they're actually sorry or they regret their vote. Now, the other group are Brexiteers. These are people who campaign for Brexit. They don't care about the consequences of Brexit, and they are fully on board with the damage it's going to do. For them, they don't care because their motivation was something different. They, of course, will say that the reason they voted for Brexit was to take back control, to be able to write our own laws, to control our money, to control the borders. But when you scratch at the surface and ask enough questions, you get to the point where it all breaks down to one particular issue, and it's xenophobia, immigration. We don't want foreigners coming here. We want foreigners to go away. Now, of course, they will avoid talking about that, but if you ask enough questions, you will get to that point. And I don't know whether Nigel Farage, Jacob Rees-Mogg, Boris Johnson truly care about immigration, but they knew that some people did, and they were willing to sell that to the public. Now, on the other side of the immigration argument, there are the people who feel that they have no longer a home in the UK. So I want to share this story with you. A man from Germany who had been living in the UK for 10 years. He was working as a professor in a university in Glasgow. And he felt, well, I have to go back to Germany. So let's hear what he had to say.
And then I got up at, I think, 3 or 4 in the morning and checked the news, and they were out. At that point, we actually thought that maybe it's not so bad if they go out, but they sort of leave things open, and as a European, you're still part of the system. And then just going on from the referendum, it just turned out to become worse and worse, for us at least. So it became more and more extreme. You don't want to be this German high-class professor guy, whatever, that is there in the UK, and because of that, they like you, and maybe at some point they don't like you anymore. And that means basically they can choose whether you stay there or not.
I recently uploaded a video about wokeness, and one of the messages from the right wing, is that the liberal elites are in charge. The liberal elites are telling people what to do. They're trying to tell ordinary people that they're stupid, that they don't understand things, and we need to respond to the liberal elites. And of course, you can understand this man who's a German professor living in the UK. Now, sadly, he was living in Scotland, and I don't think the situation is as bad in Scotland as it is in other parts of the UK. But he felt the need to go. He felt uncomfortable. Because you have this rhetoric which has been ramped up continuously over the last number of months and years about how there are liberal elites telling ordinary British people what to do, what to think. And you need to listen to the likes of the Daily Mail. You need to listen to talk radio, because they're going to push back against the so-called liberal elites. These people are willing to throw the stone and hide the hand.
It makes you feel at least like that, so it's not a nice way. Yeah, the real decision to move in the end was at that point, of course, having the position here. We were actually quite happy before this referendum, but the referendum really turned things, I think, quite a bit. That was really a hard decision to make, actually. We are really happy to have made that decision still, because...
So he's now returned to Germany. He's happy with that decision. You know, he's comfortable back living in Germany. Now, this is okay for somebody who has money, somebody who is so-called liberal elite. But there are many people who don't have the resources, don't have the ability just to up sticks and return to a country within the European Union. They have ties, they have children, perhaps going to school. They don't have the money to sell up and move back to Poland, to Germany, to France, wherever. So it's possible for somebody like this man, but it's not possible for many others.
because things just didn't turn out the way even our worst ideas were not as bad as what it actually turned out to be, I think.
Of course, he had a fear that, moving back to Germany, what the hell am I going to do? What is my life going to be like? But as he said, it wasn't as bad as he imagined.
I think Europe will miss the UK in the sense that it's quite a different culture, also with them being an island and also having the English language and having all this history. So that part is pretty sad. For Britain, yeah, they will lose a lot because they lose the connectivity to Europe. They use the connectivity to different languages that you can just stay English and talk English and do that all your life and just move around English-speaking countries.
I don't like to introduce these depressing stories, but I think it's important that we listen to stories like this. We listen to how people have been affected by Brexit. This man, of course, he didn't have a choice on this matter. Others chose for him to go. And unfortunately, as I said at the beginning, it comes down to xenophobia, fear of the other. Now, it's not always about racism, although if not all Brexiteers are racists, but all racists seem to be Brexiteers. That's a valid point. But I don't think it's so much racism, but down to xenophobia, the fear of the other. We don't want foreigners here. We don't want this German guy telling our children what to do. Brexit changed everything. The ideas of these people who would say, I don't want this German professor telling my children how to think, this would have been fringe in the past. This would have been the extreme. Now it has become mainstream. Now it's been pushed by the Conservative Party. It's being pushed by their friends in the media. It's been pushed by the mainstream itself. The idea, we can see it when it comes to flags. We can see it when it comes to monuments, how the empire did nothing wrong. Anyone who complains about that should shut up if they're British. And if anyone complains about it and they're not British, well, then they should just go away. Go back to their own country. It's quite shocking how in the space of less than 10 years, how the UK has changed. In the space of 10 years from, I think, a peak, the London Olympics in 2012, where the world was focused on the UK and it was a high point. I think Brexit was the absolute opposite of that. We used to be open, we used to be welcoming. Now we're closed. Now we're a hermit nation. We don't want foreigners here. We don't want, even if they're white, even if they're, people we generally agree with, we don't want them because they're foreigners. Britain first. That seems to be the mentality today. And the Brexiteers have understood that. The Conservatives have understood that. And they're continuing to feed it. And unfortunately, I see it ending in a very dark place. Let me know in the comments section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?